Hello, it's Keith here, and this is the 7th episode of the Grime 68,000 project. Now, this is the end of the project. There will be an 8th episode which will just cover over the source code, but today we're just going to quickly look at the finished game on all of the systems, check it works, and then I'll quickly discuss the changes that I've made over the last 24 hours. So you can see the game here running on all 5 of the 68,000 systems, and let's have a play at it. So here's the Neo Geo version. You can see it's running pretty well. I don't think the Neo Geo version had any changes made to it recently, except of course I said there was that bug yesterday where the Grime would go off the right hand side of the screen and come on the left. It shouldn't do that now. Hopefully that's fixed. As I say, I copied the Grime 6502 code which had that bug fixed. I think maybe the final version of Grime Z80 did have that bug, I'm not sure. I'm not going to go back and change it. I'm interested in maintaining the Grime Z80 code because I plan to use the code for all of these versions for my next game, but I'm not really that interested in bugs in Grime Z80 because Grime Z80 has been out 6 months and no one's emailed me and complained about it, so I'm assuming everyone's happy with it. So anyway, you can see the game works fine on here. Now the 68,000 version has sprung into life there, obviously got confused by the application change. So the 68,000 version now has some stretching done to it. There are 2 pixel lines being doubled, which is why you can see there's a slightly kind of lopsided look on the ship. Maybe one of the pixels is very visibly doubled, but as I say, I didn't really want to redraw the tiles for this, and there is a single line that you can uncomment and then rebuild the game with the stretching turned off, which is a feature I do quite like. So as I say, this is working perfectly well now. The game does seem to be about the same speed on all the systems, and of course, being as all of these are 16 colour systems, it does look the same on all of them, which is very pleasant. So this is the Genesis version, of course. Now, I suppose it's slightly a shame that the game really doesn't play any different on the Mega Drive to the Master System, you know, because of the game is basically an 8-bit game running on 16-bit systems. But again, it was, you know, this was an experiment really. So yes, that works okay. So let's try the Atari ST here. The game works okay. The player seems to have some issues, but it's not a software problem, is it? The colours seem slightly less orange. I don't know, the seekers seem very yellow as opposed to having a slight orange tint. I guess that's just the system, or maybe it's the bit depth of the palette definitions. Maybe the orange is getting lost somehow. I can't remember what the palette definitions are for the Atari ST at this time. Anyway, works fine. And finally the Amiga here. Now, I was playing it a bit yesterday, and the trick is if you can get rid of all the Grime quickly, then what you need to do is wait for the invaders to come and try and kill them before they drop any more Grime. You can keep it going for quite a while there. You do have to dodge the invaders because they of course will keep coming. The game, if you don't know, it's got that sort of player inactive check, and if the player's not shooting anything, then more Grime will come, and when it does come, it will do what it just did there, evolve very rapidly for a few ticks just to give the player more of a challenge. So, but as I say, you can kind of, if you're very lucky and quick, you can actually keep it completely at bay for a little while, like I'm doing here. I'm going to go rid of it. I got rid of it again. So yeah, so it's anyway, it all works now. I did find a bug yesterday that the score wasn't resetting at the start of the levels, but that's fixed now. So there's this new definition called tall tile here. It appears at the start, but it only does anything on the X68, so it doesn't really do anything else. If you turn this off and I rebuild the X68 version, you can see now the game is squashed up. And that's just being done here by increasing the offset so that the tiles are 10 pixels tall when it comes to selecting the line to start drawing, and then the tiles are 10 lines instead of 8, and then we check if we're on line 2 or 5, and if we are, then we subtract 4, so effectively redrawing the previous line again. So we're doubling 2 of the lines, and that's how we do that larger tile pattern. So there we go. Now I've been over the entire source code, adding code comments, and everything should be working. I also did some tweaking to the sound code of the Amiga version. I wasn't very happy with it. I'm still not very happy with it, but it's as good as it can be, I think, or at least as I know how to do at this stage. So here's the noise wave sample, and I've changed the VBlank routine to randomize the noise, but I kind of feel that there's something that's not working right about it, because the noise doesn't sound very random at all, but it'll do for now anyway. As I say, it's at this stage the game it was an experimental project to see if I could write the game on all 3 CPUs, and for me to learn some 68,000, because while I've obviously learned enough to do this, it's very difficult working on all of these different CPUs one after the other. You kind of forget a lot of what you've done, and you don't really ever get that fully skilled at a platform. You just kind of learn enough to scrape by. So I wanted to do a full week's programming on 68,000 so that I could feel I'd got some more solid background in it. I want to start doing a tutorial series. My 6502 series has just started, and the 68,000 series will start soon as well. Obviously I'm working in my spare time on these, so time is very limited, and I can't always get as much content out as I would like, but it's gonna come. And of course, if you're watching this video today, you will be able to download the source code now for Grime 68,000. It's on the website, as will be the final builds. Not just Grime 68,000, Grime 6502 and Grime Z80 as well. And I would really encourage you to take those and try and make the game better, or try and make a totally new game using Grime 68,000, 6502 or Z80 as a basis, because that's what I'm planning to do. I'm going to use this for my next game as a template. So please try and make something better than what I've done here. I'd especially like to say thank you to all my Patreon backers, whose names you should see on the screen now. I've had to take 15 days of annual leave off and use that holiday for programming these projects, and it's quite tough to kind of not feel like a complete idiot using your holiday just to sit around programming, and having people supporting you like that make it easier to rationalize, and it does make it feel more like you're doing something that's worth doing. So I really have to thank all of my Patreon backers there. Anyway, please please go and download the game, have some fun with it, and the source code, and have some fun with that too. And if you're interested in programming, if you really don't know how this game works, then please follow my programming tutorials for whichever platform you want, because hopefully I can teach you from no experience at all to learn to do these. 68,000 and 6502, I didn't know a single command at the start of the year. I only really started learning them 6 months ago, and it was really just in lunch hours and flicking through an odd book before I went to bed and things. It's not something I've put any serious time into, and it's not something I've got any prior experience of. I'm pretty sure anyone with real determination and basic mathematics, and I say basic because I got an A-level mathematics. I'm not a mathematician, so I think anyone who's really got the determination and a little bit of logical thinking can learn these languages if you really want to. So please check out my tutorials, and maybe you can learn to do them too. Anyway, that's all I'm going to do today. I just wanted to show you the final game. I'm going to do an 8th summary episode, which is really going to go into detail of the source code, but that's not for today. Thanks for watching today. Hope you've enjoyed all of the series, Grime Z80, Grime 6502 and Grime 68,000. I'm hoping to do a similar series in 2019, which is now this year of course, which is going to do another small program again in 7 days, again for all 3 systems. But I can't say what that's going to be or when it's going to be yet, because obviously it's just the start of the year. Anyway, thanks for watching all of the series, and goodbye.